Hello and welcome to the news here on Magic Bricks, now India's first property business channel. I'm Krishna Kumar. Let's take a look at the top stories that we're tracking. The Urban Development Ministry has made a strong pitch for infrastructure status for real estate in this budget. Will the Finance Minister deliver? That's a Magic Bricks Now exclusive. Maharashtra could announce 5 new industry-friendly policies during Make in India next week. This could include a blueprint for single window clearance for the industry. That's a Magic Bricks Now exclusive as well. Day 2 of CBI custody. Uptown MD Vimal Shah holds fast, denies charges of financial fraud against him in the 400 crore rupee Lok Shahir Anabhav Sathe Vikas Mahamandal scam. That too is a Magic Bricks Now exclusive. You might have to wait a little longer for your home loan EMI to come down. However, the good news is interest rates are not set to increase. India's biggest bank chief, SBI's Arundhati Bhattacharya, expects interest rates to stay stable going forward. First up, the country's largest business expo is around the corner, and it will also be Maharashtra's attempt to reclaim its lost glory as India's business destination. Preparations for the Make in India week are on in Mumbai. February 15th is when Maharashtra will make its big pitch, and Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis will announce 5 key policies to attract investments. Ruchi Deshpande gets us this report on the blueprint of these policies.
Well, it's just 2 days left to go for the largest business expo of India, that is the Make in India week that will take place in Mumbai, Maharashtra from the 13th to the 18th of February. And the Chief Minister of the host state, that is Maharashtra, has left no stone unturned when it comes to attracting investments for the state. And just for this, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra has announced 5 key policies that are aimed at the ease of doing business. They are influencing sectors like retail, ease of doing business, as well as scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, allotting industrial land for them, an electronic policy that has been put in place, and a single window clearance that is already in the works. Speaking about the single window clearances, the Maharashtra government has made available all the permissions online, that is 250 of them, out of which 150 will be available by the 15th of August, and the number of permissions has been reduced from 76 to 26, and all of them will be available on the CM Maharashtra's portal, that is applesarkar.com. Moving on, the government of Maharashtra is also considering reserving 20% of industrial land in order to make it available to the backward classes. This is being done in order to encourage entrepreneurship of the backward classes. It is also mulling over amending the Bombay-Tennessee Land Act to make available semi-urban areas for the need of industrial development. Now, there was a retail policy that was also introduced by the Maharashtra government way back in January of this year that made available 50% extra FSI for retail land, as well as mixed land use development that clubbed retail and commercial together. Moving on, we also have an electronics policy where the Maharashtra government has already set up 2 fabrication centers in Satara as well as Bhandara district. Now, the aim here is to encourage chip and chip making procedure in Maharashtra, where the CM Fadnavis is aiming to attract $3 million of investment in order to support a $12 million structure. Now, with all this in place, Maharashtra is surely going great guns in order to grab that numero uno spot when it comes to investments as well as ease of doing business.
Will Maharashtra grab the numero uno spot? That's the big question. Away from that, and on to our day's big story. The real estate sector might just get that elusive infrastructure tag on budget day, February 29. Sources tell us that the Urban Development Ministry has made a big pitch for this. We have Deepa Rana joining us from our Delhi studios with some exclusive details on that front. Deepa, the industry has been asking for an infrastructure tag for a really long time now. Is it finally set to be a reality?
Well, it just might become reality this budget session. Now, sources tell us that the Urban Development Ministry has made a strong pitch for the real estate sector to get the infrastructure status. Now, with the infrastructure status coming in, it's going to solve the biggest problem of the real estate sector, which is access to cheap finance. Now, companies will be getting cheap finance. Right now, what happens is that the company is going to pitch to a bank, and they don't get loan unless they start construction. And once they start construction, they only get 25% upwards loan. Now, this is one short money. So with an infra tag coming in, what will happen is that they will allow real estate companies to access cheaper and long-term funds, and bank finance will also become easily accessible because lending to infra falls under banks' priority sector targets. And how will this benefit home buyers is what happens is that right now developers do not get bank finance and they begin construction, so they get 25 upwards, which is short money. So they have to tap private equities or investors, etc., to lend them money. Now, with real estate sector getting infrastructure status, it might just solve the problem of home buyers like you and me, who will, get cost of finance is going to come down, it's going to decrease, and it will automatically help the prices of the home loans of the homes to come down as well.
The reason why we're telling you this story, if real estate does get the infrastructure status, it's good for you and me, the home buyer, because then the cost of financing comes down, the cost of your interest rates come down. Thank you, Deepa Rana, for joining us with those exclusive details. Now, even as the union budget is set to be announced on the 29th of February, we get you the budget expectations of various members from the real estate industry. Today, we get you the expectations from two big builders, Naveen Raheja and Rajiv Talwar. Listen in.
Please ensure that you give infrastructure status to the real estate sector, at least to the housing, because housing is a basic necessity. Number two, you need to look into that almost all across the country projects are stuck up because of multiplicity of legislations and court orders. So please give them some time so that some hand-holding to the developers so that the projects can be completed for delivery to the customers.
One would expect is indexation, which means that whatever provisions have been made even as far back as 15 to 20 years or within this period of 20 years are made inflation neutral, and therefore whatever limits have to be raised, for instance under section 24B, when repayment of house loans is today pegged at only 1,50,000, I think we need to facilitate the buyer that when he makes a repayment of a house loan, he is able to get exemption for an amount of about 2 to 3 lakhs per annum, so that it becomes easier for repaying loans.
Shifting focus, then, it's been 3 days since the state CID arrested Vimal Shah, managing director of Hubtown, in the 400 crore rupee Lok Shahir Anabhav Sate Vikas Mahamandal scam. The next hearing is on the 12th of February. My colleague Aishwarya Paliwal, who went to the CID bureau today, gets us his report.
Vimal Shah, who is the managing director of Hubtown, who was arrested by the state CID on Monday evening, is still in their custody. Sources at CID tell us that Mr. Shah is maintaining his stance that he has committed no fraud and he has committed no crime. He also says that most of the transactions happen through cash and no direct cash dealing or cash transactions ever happen between Corman Realty, the company in which supposedly 107 crore rupees were deposited by a fund which was maintained by Ramesh Kadam, who is the NCP MLA. But CID sources tell us that they have proof which says that 107 crore rupees have been siphoned off from this fund, which was in which money was put from centre and state government to make houses for open cast. Now, these houses that were supposed to be made never took place, and 107 crore rupees were amassed by Mr. Kadam and Mr. Shah for their personal wealth.
Now, for those of you who are yet to understand the scam well and are just tuning into this, here's Aishwarya getting us the background of the case so far.
A fund was set up by the state and the central government known as LAMSS. The chairman of this was Mr. Ramesh Kadam, who was an MLA from NCP. Now, this fund was set up so that residential houses could be made for the open caste community, and for the same Mr. Ramesh Kadam had purchased 800 square meters of land from Corman Realty, which was a part of Hubtown. What Mr. Kadam did was that instead of building those houses, he siphoned off 107 crore rupees to 3 different entities. And from those 3 different entities, money was again sent into Corman Realty's account. What the state CID is saying is that it has proof and it has a money trail which connects all the dots. They said that this was a connivance between Mr. Kadam and Mr. Vimal Shah, so that this amount, 107 crore rupees, could be used by both these parties to amass wealth for themselves. CID is also telling us that this was public money which has been used by both these parties to amass wealth for themselves, and instead of building houses, residential houses for the open caste community, both of them siphoned off this money into different accounts so that they could use it for later use.
Now, in Mumbai, home buyers have won a rare victory against a developer for his failure to deliver promised amenities. Marathon Realty took back parking allotted to buyers in its Mulund project, Monte Vista, and termed it public parking. Aggrieved residents moved court and have got a judgment in their favour. This relief, however, could be short-lived. My colleague Disha Shah is standing by with more details on this. So, Disha, tell us those exclusive details that you have got on this case.
Yes, that's right. Home buyers have got the relief from State Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission, as the commission has ruled in the buyer's favour and has asked Marathon Realty to compensate 5 lakh rupees to the housing society along with the litigation cost, that is 50,000 rupees. But this relief for home buyers could be short-lived, as you rightly said, because when we spoke to the company Marathon Realty, they said that they are going to challenge this order. They are challenging this order because they say that they have compiled with all the provisions that were mentioned in the agreement sale, and they are going to appeal to the higher commission, which is the National Commission, and the State Commission has put a stay on this order for a month. Just to give you a background of what exactly happened in this case, Marathon Realty had promised basement parking to the residents staying at Monte Vista Housing Society in Mulund, which consists of 230 flats. But instead of providing that parking to residents as promised, the developer allotted that to BMC as public parking and used that extra FSI of 4 to build additional floors in the building. Agitated by this developer's move, residents decided to drag the developer to the court as it was, and the court ruled the decision in the consumer's favor, as I said just a minute back. So we'll be keeping a close eye on this case at Magic Bricks now, and we will keep you updated as and when the case progresses.
Thank you, Disha, for bringing us that report. And hopefully the relief is not short-lived for all the home buyers of that project. Now, moving on, real estate developer Ashiana Housing has signed a joint venture with a Jaipur-based builder for a realty project in the outskirts of Jaipur. The developer is targeting sales of over 300 crore rupees. 650 flats will be constructed in this project and is expected to be launched by the end of 2016. The entire saleable area in the project will be about 9 lakh square feet. This is Ashiana's 8th project in Jaipur. Earnings season is on in full swing and it's a packed day of results today. Real estate major Nitesh Estates and the country's largest lender, State Bank of India, announced their quarterly results. Let's start off with India's largest bank then, who reported a rise in home loan offtake. At India's biggest bank, State Bank, profits have halved and bad loans have almost doubled. Home loans, however, grown 17%. The company's retail loan book was also stable with 18.4% year-on-year growth. We have Amita Balachandra standing by with all the details. Amita, tell us, how did the numbers shape up?
Well, Krishna, the country's largest bank, as you rightly said, did come out with its Q3 results, and the numbers did look disappointing when it comes to NPAs. Its net profit is down 61.7%. However, for home buyers like you and me, we don't have to be worried because its retail loan growth has been stable, especially home loan growth. It stands at about 17.51% year-on-year. Also, if you take a look at this quarter when compared to the same quarter last year, it's seen a rise in the amount of home loan dispersal. So that's a good point there. Also, what we're hearing from the management is that they're coming out with new schemes and initiatives for home loan for the home loan segment and home buyers like you and me. So that is a positive for home buyers.
Positive for home buyers coming in from SBI's numbers. Thank you, Amita. Now, Amita also caught up with the chairman of SBI, Arundhati Bhattacharya, and began by asking her which pockets of the country saw the most demand for home loans. Take a look.
Demand, we operate throughout the country. So I can't really say that there is a demand in a particular pocket, but the regular pockets of, say, places like Pune, Bangalore, Noida, all of those work very well for us. We've also had, as you know, an employee participation program, whereby we have asked each of our employees to come up with one home loan. That's worked very nicely as well. We've got almost 20,000 crores of new home loans on account of that. So I think we are doing pretty well on the home loan side. Our LTV loan to value is pretty low at around 52%. Our ticket sizes are in the range of 23 to 27 lakhs average. So I think we are doing well.
Also, what's your outlook on interest rates? Will there be more transmissions in the offing?
Very difficult to say. If you say transmission in the offing, means really right now I don't see any rates being cut, and whether the regulator will look for it at it, not very difficult. Let the budget be over and then maybe we'll get a better feel.
Okay. Also, what are some of the incentives that you're giving for home buyers? You mentioned Grihatala. There's also Flexi Pay home loan scheme that just come out. So if you could just throw some light upon that.
Actually, Flexi Pay is very simple. It just tells you that for the first few years you can pay your interest and not your principal, and then subsequently your installments can be hiked slowly so that your principal is also covered. Actually, this is good for salary earners, and it is meant only for salary earners who have a steady increase in their income. So we've been trying to bring about products which suit our people. We keep in mind the fact that people must understand the risks that they are running and that they are aware that this is how it works. But at the end of the day, we need to bring in products.
Also, very briefly, if you could just throw some light on your fundraising plans, especially when it comes to real estate.
See, real estate, we have a lot of real estate. It will be valued upwards of 20,000 crores. Very, very conservatively, it would be at least 20,000 crores. We've been told that, we could look at thinking of putting this amount into the capital. Now, putting it into capital as per the current provisions, we would need to take a 55% haircut and it would come in as tier 2. So it doesn't make too much of a difference. But going forward, once it comes in, it would allow us to put it into tier 1 itself. So we'll see how it works, and in the meanwhile, if the regulator gives any dispensation, we'll definitely look at that. Other than that, we will be raising capital, of course. We have permission to raise around 15,000 in equity. We have some non-core investments as well. So we'll be looking at realizing some amount from there, some amount from the stake sales of our various subsidiaries, some amount of repatriation of profits that are held abroad. So all of these areas will be looked at.
On to the other big earnings of the day. Nitesh Estates, which has witnessed a strong quarter. The company's sales shot up 136%, with net sales coming in at 116 crore rupees. The net profit too witnessed a rise, coming in at over 6.5 crore rupees. Amita Balachandra is still with us with the details on those numbers. Amita, good numbers on the back of strong sales, wasn't it?
That's right, it's been a positive quarter for Nitesh Estates. If you take a look at the numbers there, its net profit is up about 6.69 crore rupees as against last quarter or the quarter last financial year. If you take a look at the numbers, last financial year has not been good for the company's profit. It reported a loss of about 5.09 crore rupees. Also, what's coming through from these results is that its sales is up 136%. So it's got about net sales which is about 116.9 crore rupees this quarter, almost double of what it saw last quarter or the quarter last financial year. So clearly this festive season has worked wonders for Nitesh Estates, especially in its residential segment. What we're also hearing from the company is that most of this demand is coming from the luxury segment. However, mid-income segment has remained stable this quarter. Now, our editor Faye D'Souza also caught up with the COO of the company, Ashwini Kumar, and spoke to him about results. Take a look at that conversation.
Every company has a different situation, and as we were hearing on the Mr. Razak say that the percentage of completion method is not necessarily reflecting what is happening today in the marketplace, but it could be a combination of the various things. So, as far as we are concerned, of course, our last quarter is in a positive in terms of revenue. It is, almost double of what we did in the sequential quarter, in the previous quarter, as well as the year before quarter. So for us, it has been positive.
Okay, so I just want to understand, when you say sentiment has been low, and there is, of course, the investors, you're saying the investors have stepped out of the Bangalore market for the time being. Tell us, in comparison to last quarter, what your sales numbers have been in this quarter, and what are you going to announce tomorrow morning?
So, of course, compared to the last quarter, we have significantly enhanced the sales. It is almost about 2.5 times what we did in terms of area, or even in terms of value. These sales primarily, and it may be not representative of the whole market, these sales primarily have actually come from higher end projects. Projects which we are selling at 30,000 rupees a square feet, projects which we are selling at 12,000, 13,000 rupees a square feet. So those are the places where actually the volumes have come in. As far as the mid-income segment is concerned, it is still the momentum is it's not that the market has gone up. So the 2.5 times jump which has taken place is predominantly in really the higher segment and not in the mid-income segment. Mid-income segment remains at the same level.
What about your, your profit after tax, or your PAT? Where are you seeing that number come in for this quarter?
So for the last quarter, it has been 6.5 crores. That's the PAT number before, the minority interest adjustments.
So, Nitesh Estates and State Bank of India, those were the two big earnings for the day. On the 11th of February, Suntec Realty, Puravankara and Kolte Patil will announce their earnings. We will keep you updated with their results as and when they are announced. And all you regular viewers would have noticed the absence of a smart city update today. But hold on, you are in for a biggie. Coming up Friday night, 9:30 p.m. is an exclusive concrete dialogue with the Ahmedabad Municipal Commissioner D. Tara. Tune in to see how Ahmedabad's set on the road to getting smart with none other than our editor, Faye D'Souza. And with that, we have run out of time here on the show. If you have any feedback or suggestions for us, write to us on the email ID flashing on your screens. We're also on Twitter and Facebook, so feel free to tweet to us or post your query on our Facebook page. We would love to hear from you. Also, remember to check out our live streaming website, www.mbnow.in. And with that, it is a wrap on this edition of the news on Magic Bricks Now. Thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.